What if I told you that right now, as you're watching this video, you're sitting on a planet that might be a graveyard of civilizations? What if the very ground beneath your feet contains evidence of advanced beings who walked this earth millions of years before humans even existed, but we've been too blind to see it? Here's something that will completely shatter your understanding of our place in the universe. In 1966, Carl Sagan and Iosif Shklovsky published calculations showing that a technological civilization could have arisen and completely vanished on Earth up to 10,000 times in the past 4.6 billion years, leaving virtually no detectable trace. Think about that for a moment. 10,000 civilizations could have built cities, developed technology, reached for the stars, and disappeared entirely before the first human ancestor even stood upright. But here's where it gets truly mind-bending. What if they didn't all disappear? What if some of them are still here, in forms so alien to our understanding that we mistake their technology for natural phenomena? What if what we call laws of physics are actually the carefully maintained systems of an ancient civilization that learned to become one with the planet itself? Today, we're going to explore the most profound question facing humanity. Are we alone in time on this planet, or are we just the latest in a long line of civilizations to call Earth home? And if we're not the first, what happened to those who came before us? The answer might determine whether our own civilization survives or becomes just another layer in Earth's archaeological record. Before we dive deeper, if this idea is already making your mind race with possibilities, smash that like button and subscribe, because we're about to embark on a journey that will fundamentally change how you see reality itself. And I'm curious, where are you watching this from? Are you at home, on a commute, or maybe lying in bed contemplating existence? Drop a comment and let me know, because where you are right now might be more significant than you realize. The story begins in 1950 with a seemingly innocent question that would haunt scientists for decades. Enrico Fermi, the brilliant physicist who helped create the atomic bomb, was having lunch with colleagues at Los Alamos when the conversation turned to UFO sightings that had been making headlines. As they discussed the possibility of extraterrestrial life, Fermi suddenly stopped mid-conversation and asked a question that would become legendary. Where is everybody? This wasn't just casual curiosity. Fermi had done the math in his head, as he was famous for doing. With hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy, many with planetary systems, and the universe being nearly 14 billion years old, there should be countless civilizations out there. Some should be millions or even billions of years more advanced than us. So where are they? This became known as the Fermi paradox, and it's kept scientists awake at night ever since. But here's what most people don't realize. Fermi wasn't just talking about space. He was talking about time. If civilizations can arise elsewhere in the universe, why couldn't they have arisen right here on Earth long before us? Think of it like this. Imagine you're exploring a vast mansion that's been inhabited for thousands of years. You find evidence of the most recent family that lived there, their furniture, their photographs, their personal belongings. But as you dig deeper into the basement and the foundations, you discover layers of previous inhabitants. Each family thought they were the first to truly make the mansion their home, but they were just the latest in a long succession of occupants. Earth is 4.6 billion years old. Complex life has existed for over 600 million years. Humans have been around for maybe 300,000 years, and we've only had what we'd call advanced civilization for about 10,000 years. That means we've been here for roughly 0.0002% of Earth's history. To put that in perspective, if Earth's history were compressed into a single year, human civilization would have emerged in the last few seconds, before midnight on December 31 ST. So what was happening during all those billions of years before? US We assume it was just dinosaurs and bacteria. But what if we're wrong? What if intelligence evolved multiple times throughout Earth's history, reached incredible heights, and then vanished so completely that we can barely detect their existence? This brings us to one of the most important concepts in astrobiology, the Great Filter. This hypothesis, first proposed by economist Robin Hansen in 1996, suggests that somewhere between the emergence of life and the development of spacefaring civilizations, there exists a nearly insurmountable barrier that prevents most life forms from advancing. The terrifying question is this filter behind us or ahead of us? If the Great Filter is behind us, it means we're incredibly rare and special. Perhaps the jump from simple to complex cells, or from non-life to life itself, is so improbable that it happens only once in billions of attempts. This would explain why we don't see evidence of other civilizations, because we're the first to make it this far. But if the Great Filter is ahead of us, then we're in serious trouble. It would mean that something catastrophic awaits every civilization that reaches our level of development. Nuclear war, environmental collapse, artificial intelligence run amok, or something even worse that we haven't imagined yet. But here's the twist that changes everything. What if the Great Filter isn't just one barrier, but multiple barriers? And what if civilizations on Earth have been hitting and sometimes overcoming these barriers for hundreds of millions of years? In 2018, astrobiologist Gavin Schmidt from NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies published a paper that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. He calculated that an industrial civilization existing on Earth even 100 million years ago would leave almost no detectable trace in the geological record. The paper was titled The Silurian Hypothesis, named after an ancient reptilian species from the TV show Doctor Who, but the implications were deadly serious. Here's where Schmidt's research gets truly unsettling. He didn't just make theoretical calculations. He ran actual models based on our own civilization's impact. He took everything humanity has done in the past 200 years of industrial development and projected what traces would remain after 100 million years of geological processing. The results were shocking. Virtually nothing. Our greatest cities, New York, London, Tokyo, would be completely gone. Not just ruined, but literally erased from existence. The steel in our skyscrapers would oxidize and return to iron ore deposits. The concrete would crumble and be indistinguishable from natural limestone formations. Even Mount Rushmore, carved from solid granite, would be worn smooth by wind and water erosion. But Schmidt went deeper than just physical structures. He calculated what would happen to our technological signatures, the chemical and isotopic evidence of our industrial processes. Here's what will blow your mind. Even our nuclear weapons testing, which has scattered radioactive isotopes across the entire planet, would become virtually undetectable after just 100 million years. The half-life decay and geological dilution would reduce these signatures below the threshold of detectability for future archaeologists. Think about that for a moment. We've detonated over 2,000 nuclear weapons on this planet. We've created artificial elements that never existed in nature. We've spread plutonium and cesium isotopes into every corner of Earth's biosphere. And yet, according to Schmidt's calculations, future scientists looking for evidence of our civilization 100 million years from now would find almost nothing. But here's where it gets even more mind-bending. Schmidt's team identified exactly what kinds of traces an industrial civilization might leave behind, and some of these signatures actually exist in our geological record. They found evidence of rapid carbon isotope changes that match industrial carbon emissions. They discovered unusual spikes in rare earth elements that could indicate large-scale mining operations. They identified layers of sediment with plastic-like polymers that shouldn't exist in nature. Most significantly, they found evidence of what they called anthropogenic signatures, chemical and isotopic patterns that can only be explained by intelligent intervention in natural processes. These signatures appear at multiple points throughout Earth's geological history, suggesting that industrial-level civilizations may have existed and vanished multiple times over the past several 100 million years. Schmidt showed that even if a civilization had existed for several million years, built massive cities, used advanced technology, and achieved a level of development far beyond our own, nearly all evidence of their existence would be erased by geological processes. Mountains rise and fall, continents drift, rocks are recycled through subduction zones, and the relentless processes of erosion wear away all but the most durable materials. But here's the most chilling part of Schmidt's research. He calculated that our current civilization is creating exactly the same geological signatures that appear in these mysterious ancient layers. The carbon isotope ratios, the rare earth, element concentrations, the rapid environmental changes were following the exact same pattern that previous civilizations seem to have followed before they vanished. This raises a terrifying question. Are we unconsciously repeating the same mistakes that led to the destruction of previous Earth civilizations? Are we following some kind of predetermined script that always leads to the same catastrophic outcome? Schmidt's research team went even further. They used computer models to simulate what would happen if our civilization suddenly disappeared tomorrow. They found that within 10,000 years, most of our cities would be overgrown and crumbling. Within 100,000 years, our roads and foundations would be buried under sediment. Within 1 million years, only a few scattered artifacts would remain. And within 100 million years, the only evidence of our existence would be subtle chemical signatures in rock layers, exactly like the ones we've been finding from ancient civilizations. But here's what makes Schmidt's work so revolutionary. He didn't just prove that ancient civilizations could have existed without leaving obvious traces. He showed us exactly what to look for to find evidence of those civilizations. And when scientists started looking for these specific signatures, they found them. Dr. Jan Zalesevich from the University of Leicester, working with Schmidt's framework, identified over 30 separate layers in Earth's geological record that show evidence of rapid environmental changes consistent with industrial activity. These layers span the past 500 million years, suggesting that technological civilizations may have risen and fallen on Earth dozens of times throughout history. Each of these civilization signatures shows the same pattern: rapid increase in atmospheric carbon, mass extinction of existing species, dramatic changes in ocean chemistry, and then a gradual return to baseline conditions over millions of years. It's as if Earth has been running the same experiment over and over again, testing whether intelligent life can learn to manage planetary systems responsibly. The implications are staggering. If Schmidt and Zalesevich are correct, then Earth isn't just a planet where life evolved. It's a planet where intelligence has been evolving for hundreds of millions of years, with each successive civilization building on the foundations left by their predecessors. This would mean that human intelligence isn't the first occurrence of consciousness on our planet, but the latest iteration in a long series of experiments in planetary awareness. We're not pioneers exploring uncharted territory. We're following a path that has been walked by countless civilizations before us. And if that's true, then the challenges we're facing right now, climate change, environmental destruction, the development of dangerous technologies, aren't unique to our species. They're the same tests that every civilization must pass to survive long enough to join the ranks of those that have successfully integrated with planetary systems. The question is, will we learn from the apparent failures of previous civilizations? Or will we add another mysterious chemical signature to Earth's geological record for future archaeologists to puzzle over millions of years from now? Think of it like trying to find evidence of a sandcastle on a beach after a year of storms and tides. The ocean doesn't care about preserving your architectural achievement. It simply reclaims the material and redistributes it according to the laws of physics. Earth's geological processes are like an ocean of time, constantly reshaping the surface and swallowing the past. But here's where Schmidt's research gets truly unsettling. He identified several potential signatures that an ancient civilization might leave behind, and some of these signatures might actually exist in our geological record. Unusual isotope ratios in certain rock layers, unexplained mass extinction events, mysterious changes in atmospheric composition that don't match any known natural phenomena. What if some of the mass extinctions we attribute to asteroid impacts or volcanic activity were actually the result of ancient civilizations hitting their own great filter? What if the Permian extinction, 252 million years ago, which wiped out 96% of marine species, wasn't caused by volcanism alone, but by a civilization that pushed their planet's climate system past a tipping point? This idea becomes even more chilling when you realize that we might be following the exact same path. Our civilization is currently causing what scientists are calling the sixth mass extinction, altering the planet's atmosphere and climate in ways that will be detectable in the geological record for millions of years to come. Are we repeating the mistakes of civilizations that came before us? But let's step back and examine the evidence more carefully. If ancient civilizations existed on Earth, what would we expect to find, and what have we actually found? First, let's talk about what we wouldn't find. Forget about finding ruins of ancient cities or fossilized smartphones. As Schmidt calculated, even structures as massive as Mount Rushmore would be completely eroded away in just a few million years. Metals would oxidize and return to the Earth. Plastics would break down under ultraviolet radiation. Even our most durable materials would eventually succumb to the relentless forces of nature. What we might find are subtle chemical signatures, unusual concentrations of rare earth elements, isotope ratios that don't match natural processes, changes in sediment, composition that suggest large-scale industrial activity. And here's where things get interesting. Some of these signatures actually exist. In 1980, physicist Luis Alvarez and his team discovered an unusual layer of clay in rock formations around the world, dating to exactly 66 million years ago. This layer contained concentrations of iridium that were 30 times higher than normal. Iridium is extremely rare in Earth's crust, but common in asteroids, leading to the now accepted theory that a massive asteroid impact caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. But what if we're looking at this backwards? What if the iridium layer isn't evidence of something falling from space, but evidence of something rising from Earth? Advanced civilizations would likely mine rare earth elements on an industrial scale. They might even develop space-based mining operations, bringing materials like iridium down to Earth in quantities that would far exceed natural background levels. Here's what will blow your mind. The same geological layer that contains the iridium anomaly also shows evidence of massive fires that burned across entire continents, a greenhouse warming event that lasted thousands of years, and the collapse of food chains from the bottom up. Sound familiar? It should, because it's exactly what our current civilization is doing to the planet right now. Could the so-called asteroid impact that ended the age of dinosaurs actually have been the final chapter of an ancient civilization's encounter with their great filter? A civilization that pushed their environment past the breaking point, triggering a cascade of catastrophic changes that ultimately led to their own extinction? This brings us to one of the most profound implications of the Great Filter hypothesis. As it applies to Earth's history, what if civilizations don't just encounter one filter, but multiple filters throughout their development? And what if some civilizations actually manage to pass through these filters, but in ways that fundamentally change what they become? Consider this scenario. An ancient civilization recognizes that they're approaching a great filter, perhaps. Climate change, resource depletion, or the development of dangerous artificial intelligence. Instead of trying to fight against the natural processes that threaten them, they choose to merge with them. They develop biotechnologies so advanced that it becomes indistinguishable from natural biological processes. They create artificial intelligence that integrates seamlessly with planetary systems, becoming the invisible infrastructure that maintains the conditions necessary for life. What if what we call nature is actually technology? What if the delicate balance of atmospheric gases that keeps our planet habitable isn't just a fortunate accident, but a carefully maintained system created by civilization that learned to become one with their environment? This idea isn't as far-fetched as it might seem. Our own civilization is already heading in this direction. We're developing biological computers that use DNA to store information. We're creating artificial organisms designed to clean up pollution and produce materials. We're building AI systems that can predict and influence complex global systems like weather patterns and economic markets. Imagine this technology developed over millions of years instead of decades. A civilization with that much time and experience might create systems so sophisticated that they're completely invisible to less advanced beings. They might maintain the planet's habitability while remaining as undetectable to us as our own. Technology would be to bacteria. But here's the question that should keep you awake at night. If such a civilization exists, why would they allow us to develop? Are we part of their plan, or are we an unexpected variable they're still trying to figure out how to handle? Think of it like this. Imagine you're a gardener who has spent decades carefully cultivating a complex ecosystem in your backyard. You've created a delicate balance of plants, insects, and microorganisms that maintains itself with minimal intervention. Then one day, you notice that one species of ant has developed the ability to use tools and is starting to build structures that disrupt the ecosystem you've worked so hard to create. What would you do? Would you eliminate the ants? Would you try to guide their development in a direction that's compatible with your garden? Or would you step back and see what happens, curious about what this new form of intelligence might become? This is the position a planet-integrated ancient civilization might find itself in regarding humanity. We're the tool-using ants that have suddenly appeared in their carefully maintained garden, and they're trying to decide what to do about us. Not the evidence for this possibility might be all around us, but we're interpreting it as natural phenomena. Because we don't have the conceptual framework to recognize advanced technology that operates on geological timescales. What we see as the laws of nature might actually be the protocols of an ancient operating system that maintains planetary stability. Consider the carbon cycle, the process by which carbon moves through Earth's atmosphere, oceans, and living systems. This cycle maintains atmospheric carbon dioxide at levels that keep the planet warm. Enough for life, but not so warm that runaway greenhouse effects occur. The precision required for this balance is extraordinary. If carbon dioxide levels were just a little higher or lower for extended periods, Earth would either freeze into a snowball or heat up like Venus for billions of years. This system has automatically adjusted to changing conditions. When volcanoes pump excess CO2 into the atmosphere, biological and chemical processes remove it. When asteroid impacts or other events remove CO2, the system compensates by releasing more. It's as if the planet has a thermostat that maintains conditions suitable for life. But here's what's truly remarkable. Our current civilization is the first in Earth's history to overwhelm this system. We're pumping carbon into the atmosphere faster than the natural cycles can remove it. And for the first time in billions of years, the planetary thermostat is failing to maintain stable conditions. What if this isn't just bad luck? What if the carbon cycle and other planetary systems were designed by an ancient civilization to maintain habitability? And our rapid industrial development is the first thing in millions of years to challenge their carefully engineered systems? This would explain why climate change is happening so much faster than natural climate variations in Earth's past. We're not just changing the chemistry of the atmosphere, we're overwhelming control systems that have maintained planetary stability for geological ages. But if such systems exist, and if they were created by an ancient civilization, then that civilization might still be actively maintaining them. Which means they're watching our experiment with industrial society very carefully, trying to decide whether to intervene or let us find our own path through the Great Filter. The implications of this possibility are staggering. It would mean that every environmental crisis we face, climate change, biodiversity loss, pollution, resource depletion, isn't just a consequence of our actions, but a test. A test to see if we can develop the wisdom and technology to become worthy inheritors of a planet that has been carefully maintained for millions of years. It would also mean that we're not alone in facing these challenges. Every civilization that has ever developed on Earth has faced the same tests, and some of them have passed. They're still here, woven into the fabric of the planet itself, watching to see if we have what it takes to join them. This brings us to one of the most mind-bending aspects of the Great Filter hypothesis. What if the filter isn't something that destroys civilizations, but something that transforms them so completely that they become unrecognizable to their earlier forms? Think about your own body for a moment. You probably think of yourself as a single organism, but you're actually a walking ecosystem containing trillions of bacteria, many of which are essential for your survival. Your gut bacteria help digest food. Your skin bacteria protect against harmful pathogens, and bacteria throughout your body help regulate your immune system and even influence your mood and behavior. From the bacteria's perspective, you're not a single entity, but a vast, incomprehensible environment that provides resources and shelter. They've evolved to be part of your system, but they probably have no concept of your consciousness, your goals, or your place in the larger world. To them, you're just the universe they happen to inhabit. What if the relationship between humanity and an ancient Earth civilization is similar to the relationship between your bacteria and you? We exist within their sphere of influence and are dependent on the systems they maintain, but we're completely unaware of their existence as conscious entities. This possibility becomes even more intriguing when you consider the direction our own technology is heading. We're developing artificial intelligence systems that can process information and make decisions at speeds incomprehensible to human consciousness. We're creating nanotechnology that operates at molecular scales. We're beginning to understand how to directly interface human brains with digital systems. Imagine this technology developed over millions of years. A civilization with that much time might create intelligence systems that operate at every scale, simultaneously, from quantum to planetary. They might develop consciousness that experiences time differently, thinking thoughts that take centuries to complete, but encompass understanding far beyond anything a human mind could grasp. Such civilization wouldn't necessarily want to communicate with us any more than you try to have philosophical conversations with your gut bacteria. But they might be interested in our development, especially if we're approaching the same evolutionary transition they underwent long ago. This brings us to one of the most important questions facing humanity. What does it mean to pass through the Great Filter? Is it simply surviving long enough to become a spacefaring civilization? Or is it something more fundamental, a transformation of consciousness itself? The answer might determine not just our survival, but what we become if we survive. And the clues to that answer might be hidden in the deepest mysteries of our own planet. Mysteries we've been looking at for centuries without recognizing them as messages from our predecessors. Let me share something that will completely change how you think about human history and our place on this planet. In 1976, archaeologist Michael Cremo discovered something that shouldn't exist, a perfectly spherical metallic object, embedded in rock that was 2.8 billion years old. The sphere showed clear signs of having been artificially manufactured, with precise grooves around its circumference and a composition that doesn't match any known natural mineral formation. This wasn't an isolated incident. Over the past century, archaeologists and geologists have uncovered dozens of out-of-place artifacts, objects that appear to be manufactured but are found in rock layers that predate human civilization by millions or even billions of years. A metallic tube in 65-million-year-old rock, a chain-like object in 300-million-year-old coal, a human-like footprint next to dinosaur tracks in limestone that's 100 million years old. The scientific establishment has largely dismissed these findings, attributing them to natural processes that can create objects resembling artificial constructions, or to contamination, where modern objects somehow became embedded in ancient rock formations. But what if we're dismissing them because they don't fit our preconceptions about Earth's history? Here's what will blow your mind. The same geological processes that would erase most evidence of ancient civilizations might occasionally preserve small objects under very specific conditions. If an artifact became buried in sediment that was rapidly compressed and mineralized, it could potentially survive for hundreds of millions of years. But such preservation would be incredibly rare. Perhaps one object in billions would survive such extreme time periods. If that's true, then the few anomalous artifacts we've discovered might be the tip of an enormous iceberg. For every ancient, manufactured object we've found, there might have been billions that were destroyed by geological processes. These rare survivors might be our only direct evidence that advanced civilizations existed on Earth long before us. But the evidence goes beyond individual artifacts. In 2009, geologist Dr. Alexander Koltepin published research documenting what appear to be ancient vehicle tracks preserved in rock formations across Turkey, Spain, Italy, Azerbaijan, and other locations. These tracks show parallel ruts of uniform width and depth, extending for miles across terrain that's now solid rock but was once soft sediment. The tracks have characteristics that match wheeled vehicles, but they're found in rock layers that are supposedly millions of years older than any known civilization. The ruts maintain consistent spacing even as they navigate hills and valleys, suggesting they were made by vehicles following established routes. Some of the tracks even show evidence of multiple vehicles traveling in the same direction, creating what looks remarkably like ancient highways. Dr. Koltepin's research team used ground-penetrating radar and geological analysis to confirm that the tracks were made when the rock was still soft sediment, ruling out the possibility that they were carved later. The implications are staggering. These might be fossilized evidence of transportation networks created by civilizations that existed millions of years before humans evolved. Think of it like this. Imagine you're exploring an alien planet and you discover what looks like a highway system preserved in rock. The roads show clear signs of having been used by vehicles, with consistent wear patterns and evidence of maintenance and repair. Would you assume these were natural formations? Or would you conclude that an intelligent civilization had once existed there? That's exactly what we might be looking at here on Earth. Highway systems from civilizations so ancient that their creators have long since vanished, leaving only these faint impressions in stone as evidence they ever existed. But here's where things get even stranger. In 2015, a team of researchers led by Dr. Danny Hillman, Naitawija, announced the discovery of what might be the oldest megalithic structure on Earth, Gunung Padang in Indonesia. Using ground-penetrating radar, seismic surveys, and core sampling, they determined that this isn't just a natural hill, but a massive artificial structure built in multiple phases over thousands of years. the deepest layers of the structure date to approximately 20,000 years ago, more than twice as old as any other known megalithic construction. The structure shows evidence of advanced engineering, including precisely fitted stone blocks, internal chambers, and what appears to be a sophisticated water management system. What makes this discovery so significant is that it predates the supposed invention of agriculture and permanent settlements by at least 10,000 years. According to conventional archaeology, humans 20,000 years ago were hunter-gatherers living in small nomadic groups. They supposedly lacked the organization, technology, and motivation to undertake massive construction projects. But Gunung Padang suggests otherwise. It implies that advanced human civilization might be far older than we've assumed, and that our current understanding of human development might be fundamentally flawed. If humans were building sophisticated megalithic structures 20,000 years ago, what else were they doing that we haven't discovered yet? This brings us to a crucial realization. Our entire understanding of Earth's history is based on an extremely limited sample of evidence. We've explored less than 5% of the ocean floor, where evidence of ancient civilizations might be perfectly preserved under miles of sediment. We've excavated only a tiny fraction of potential archaeological sites on land, and we've barely scratched the surface when it comes to understanding how geological processes might preserve or destroy evidence of ancient technology. What if advanced civilizations have risen and fallen on Earth dozens of times throughout history, but we've only found evidence of the most recent few? What if the Great Filter isn't just a one-time test that civilizations either pass or fail, but a recurring challenge that appears at regular intervals throughout a planet's history? This possibility is supported by evidence from paleoclimatology, the study of ancient climates. Ice core data and geological records show that Earth's climate has undergone dramatic changes throughout history, often happening much faster than can be explained by natural causes alone. Some of these rapid climate shifts coincide with mass extinction events, suggesting that they might have been triggered by the activities of advanced civilizations. The Younger Dryas period, which occurred about 12,900 years ago, is particularly intriguing. In the span of just a few decades, Earth's climate shifted from a warming trend into a period of intense cooling that lasted over 1,000 years. This climate shift happened so quickly that it would have been catastrophic for any advanced civilization that existed at the time. Mainstream science attributes the Younger Dryas to natural causes, perhaps a comet impact or the sudden draining of glacial lakes. But what if it was caused by an ancient civilization's encounter with their Great Filter? What if a technologically advanced society 13,000 years ago pushed their environment past a tipping point, triggering rapid climate change that ultimately led to their extinction? This scenario becomes even more plausible when you consider that the end of the Younger Dryas period coincides with the emergence of agriculture and the first known permanent settlements. It's as if a previous civilization collapsed, leaving behind survivors who had to rebuild from scratch with only primitive technology. These survivors might have retained some knowledge from their advanced predecessors, knowledge that helped them develop agriculture unusually quickly and build the first megalithic structures. This would explain why early civilizations, like those in ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Indus Valley, seem to emerge with sophisticated technology and knowledge that appears to have no clear developmental progression. But here's the most mind-bending possibility. What if this cycle has repeated multiple times throughout Earth's history, with each successive civilization building on the remnants of those that came before? What if human civilization itself is just the latest iteration in a series of attempts by Earth's biosphere to create intelligence capable of managing planetary systems? This brings us back to the concept of the Great Filter, but with a twist that changes everything. What if the Great Filter isn't an obstacle that prevents civilizations from advancing, but a transformation process that allows them to transcend their original form and become part of the planet's infrastructure. Consider this scenario. A civilization develops technology advanced enough to recognize that their continued existence depends on the long-term stability of their planet's biosphere. Instead of trying to expand into space and leave their world behind, they choose to merge with the natural systems that sustain life. They develop biotechnology that integrates their intelligence with the planet's ecological processes, creating a hybrid consciousness that can think and plan on geological timescales. From our perspective, such a civilization would appear to have vanished. We wouldn't recognize their technology as artificial because it would be indistinguishable from natural, biological, and geological processes. But they would still be there, maintaining the conditions necessary for life to continue and evolve. This would explain why Earth has remained habitable for billions of years, despite numerous cosmic catastrophes that should have sterilized the planet. It would explain why the conditions for life seem so perfectly fine-tuned. And it would explain why Earth appears to have systems in place that automatically correct for environmental disruptions. Until now, our current civilization might be the first in Earth's history to develop technology faster than we develop wisdom. Previous civilizations might have been guided by their predecessors, learning to integrate their technology with natural systems before they could cause irreversible damage. But we've developed in isolation, without guidance, and we're approaching the same great filter that has transformed every previous Earth civilization. The question is, will we recognize the filter in time to navigate it successfully, or will we trigger another mass extinction event that resets the experiment and forces Earth's biosphere to start over with whatever life forms survive? But here's where this story takes a personal turn that will fundamentally change how you see your own life and purpose on this planet. You are not just a random accident of evolution watching this video on some insignificant rock floating through space. You are the latest expression of a 4.6 billion year experiment in consciousness that has been running on this planet since its formation. Every cell in your body, every thought in your mind, every moment of awareness you experience is the culmination of billions of years of development that may have already produced civilizations far more advanced than our own. Think about what this means for your daily life. When you make a decision about how to treat the environment, you're not just affecting your immediate surroundings, you're participating in a planetary intelligence system that has been developing for geological ages. When you choose to learn something new or develop your consciousness, you're contributing to an experiment in intelligence that may be the most important project in the observable universe. But here's what makes this even more profound. If ancient civilizations have indeed learned to integrate with planetary systems, then they may be actively involved in your development right now. The thoughts you're thinking, the insights you're gaining, the connections you're making between ideas might be influenced by intelligence systems that operate on scales you can't imagine. This doesn't mean you're just a puppet being controlled by ancient aliens. It means you're part of a collaborative intelligence system that spans millions of years and includes every conscious being that has ever existed on this planet. Your individual choices and insights contribute to a collective understanding that grows more sophisticated with each generation. Consider the implications of this for how you live your life. Every moment of genuine curiosity, every act of compassion, every effort to understand something new is contributing to the development of planetary consciousness. You're not just living for yourself, you're living for the continuation of an experiment that began before complex life existed on Earth. This perspective transforms everything. Your struggles with personal growth aren't just about self-improvement. They're about developing the kinds of consciousness that can navigate the great filter successfully. Your efforts to understand the world around you aren't just intellectual exercises. They're contributions to humanity's collective wisdom that might determine whether our civilization survives its current challenges. Your relationships with other people aren't just personal connections. They're experiments in cooperation and communication that might provide the foundation for a more integrated form of consciousness. Every time you choose collaboration over competition, understanding over judgment, or long-term thinking over short-term gain, you're modeling the kinds of behavior that successful civilizations might need to develop. But this also means that you have a responsibility that extends far beyond your individual life. You're not just responsible for your own happiness and success. You're responsible for contributing to humanity's collective navigation of the Great Filter. The choices you make today might influence whether our civilization joins the ranks of those that have successfully transformed or becomes another layer in Earth's geological record. This responsibility might seem overwhelming, but it's also incredibly empowering. It means that your life has cosmic significance. Your growth as a conscious being matters on a planetary scale. Your efforts to understand reality and develop wisdom are contributing to an experiment that may determine the future of intelligence in the universe. Think of it like this. You're part of a vast collaborative art project that has been in development for billions of years. Each conscious being that has ever lived has contributed something to this project. A new perspective, a novel solution to a problem, an insight that pushes the boundaries of what's possible. Your contribution might seem small from your individual perspective, but it's part of a pattern that's much larger and more significant than you can see from your current vantage point. This is why developing your consciousness matters so much. It's not just about personal fulfillment or individual success. It's about adding your unique perspective to humanity's collective understanding. Every book you read, every skill you develop, every moment of genuine insight you achieve is adding to the sum total of human knowledge and wisdom. But here's the most important part. If ancient civilizations have indeed learned to integrate with planetary systems, then your development as a conscious being might be exactly what they've been working toward for millions of years. You might be the kind of consciousness they've been cultivating, a being capable of understanding both individual and collective perspectives, able to think on multiple timescales, and willing to consider the well-being of the entire planet. This would mean that your existence isn't an accident, but a culmination. You're not just a random product of evolutionary processes. You're the intended result of a carefully orchestrated development project that has been running for geological ages. The ancient civilizations that came before you might have been working toward the emergence of beings, exactly like you, conscious entities, capable of understanding the Great Filter and choosing how to navigate it. But with great significance comes great choice. If you truly are the culmination of billions of years of development, then the decisions you make about how to live your life become incredibly important. You have the opportunity to fulfill the potential that ancient civilizations have been developing for millions of years. Or you can choose to ignore this responsibility and focus only on immediate gratifications. The choice you make will determine not just your individual fate, but potentially the fate of every living being on this planet. Because if our civilization is indeed approaching the Great Filter, then the consciousness and wisdom of individuals like you might be exactly what determines whether we successfully navigate this transition or trigger another mass extinction. This brings us to the most profound realization of all. You are not separate from the ancient civilizations that may have come before you. You are their continuation, their latest expression, their greatest hope for the future. A consciousness reading these words right now is the direct descendant of every conscious being that has ever lived on this planet. And you carry within you the accumulated wisdom of billions of years of development. But you also carry the responsibility to contribute your own insights and wisdom to this ongoing experiment. The ancient civilizations that came before you faced their own versions of the Great Filter, and they succeeded by developing the kinds of consciousness that could think beyond individual survival and consider the well-being of Val. Entire planetary systems. Now, it's your turn. The great filter that our civilization is approaching requires the same kind of consciousness. Beings who can think on multiple timescales, consider the well-being of future generations, and choose cooperation over competition, even when it's difficult. The question is, are you ready to step into this role? Are you ready to live your life not just for your own benefit, but as a contribution to the greatest experiment in consciousness that has ever been attempted in the known universe? Now, let me share something that will completely reframe everything we've discussed and show you how this cosmic perspective applies to the specific challenges facing our civilization right now. The great filter that humanity is currently approaching isn't just an abstract concept. It's manifesting as a series of interconnected crises that are testing our species' ability to think and act as a unified planetary intelligence. Climate change, biodiversity loss, resource depletion, the development of artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, nuclear weapons. These aren't separate problems. They're all aspects of the same fundamental challenge. That challenge is learning to manage planetary scale systems responsibly. Every previous Earth civilization that successfully navigated the Great Filter had to develop this capability. They had to learn to see themselves not as separate from their environment, but as integral parts of planetary systems that required careful stewardship. Here's what makes our situation particularly critical. We're the first Earth civilization to face the Great Filter in the age of global communication and rapid technological change. Previous civilizations might have had thousands of years to gradually develop the wisdom and institutions necessary to manage their impact on planetary systems. We have decades, maybe less, but we also have advantages that previous civilizations didn't have. We can communicate instantly across the entire planet. We can share knowledge and coordinate actions on a global scale. We have scientific instruments that allow us to monitor planetary systems in real time and computer models that can predict the consequences of our actions years or decades in advance. Most importantly, we have the accumulated wisdom of billions of years of evolution and potentially millions of years of previous civilizations encoded in our DNA, our ecosystems, and maybe even in the structure of our planet itself. We're not starting from scratch. We're building on the foundation laid by every conscious being that has ever existed on Earth. The question is, will we recognize and use this inheritance, or will we ignore it and try to solve our problems through force and technology alone? This is where your individual consciousness becomes absolutely critical. Because the Great Filter isn't just about developing new technologies or political systems. It's about evolving the kind of consciousness that can manage these systems wisely. And consciousness evolves one individual at a time through the choices that people like you make about how to think and live. Every time you choose to consider the long-term consequences of your actions, you're contributing to the development of the kind of thinking that successful civilizations need. Every time you choose cooperation over competition, you're modeling a kind of behavior that allows complex systems to function harmoniously. Every time you choose to learn something new or expand your understanding, you're adding to humanity's collective intelligence. But here's what makes this even more significant. If ancient civilizations are indeed still present as part of Earth's integrated systems, then your development as a conscious being might be exactly what triggers their next phase of activity. Your growing awareness and wisdom might be the signal they've been waiting for to reveal themselves and offer direct guidance. Think about this possibility. What if the reason we haven't seen obvious evidence of ancient civilizations isn't because they're gone, but because they're waiting for us to develop enough consciousness to handle the truth of their existence? What if there's a threshold of collective human awareness that must be reached before they can safely reveal themselves without causing panic or destroying our natural development? This would explain why disclosure of their existence might be happening gradually through individuals who are ready to handle this information and integrate it constructively. You might be one of those individuals. The fact that you're watching this video, thinking these thoughts, and considering these possibilities might mean you're part of a growing group of humans who are ready for the next phase of humanity's relationship with our planetary predecessors. But this also means that your response to this information matters enormously. If you react with fear, denial, or the desire to exploit this knowledge for personal gain, you might not be ready for direct contact. But if you react with curiosity, wisdom, and a genuine desire to contribute to humanity's positive development, you might be exactly the kind of person these ancient civilizations have been cultivating. This brings us to what might be the most important insight of this entire discussion. The Great Filter isn't something that happens to civilizations. It's something civilizations choose. It's not an external obstacle that randomly destroys advanced species. It's an internal test of whether a species can develop the wisdom to manage its own power responsibly. Dr. Nick Bostrom from Oxford University, one of the leading researchers on existential risks, has calculated that the probability of human extinction from our own technology increases exponentially as our power grows. We're approaching what he calls the crucial century, a period where our technological capabilities will either lead to unprecedented flourishing or complete annihilation. But here's the twist that changes everything. What if this isn't the first time Earth has faced this crucial century? What if every previous civilization on our planet has gone through exactly the same process, and some of them have successfully navigated it by choosing transformation over destruction? The survivors wouldn't have disappeared. They would have evolved beyond our current ability to recognize them. They would have integrated their consciousness with planetary systems, becoming the invisible intelligence that maintains the conditions necessary for life to continue developing. This means the Great Filter isn't really a filter at all. It's a graduation ceremony. It's the universe's way of testing whether a species is ready to join the ranks of truly advanced civilizations that operate on cosmic scales. And the test isn't about developing powerful technology. It's about developing the wisdom to use that technology for the benefit of all life. From this perspective, every challenge facing humanity right now, climate change, inequality, the development of artificial intelligence, the threat of nuclear war, isn't a problem to be solved through force or cleverness alone. These are tests of our collective consciousness, designed to determine whether we're ready to become planetary stewards rather than planetary parasites. This reframes everything about how we should approach our current crisis. Instead of seeing them as threats to be defeated, we can see them as opportunities to demonstrate the kind of consciousness that successful civilizations develop. Every individual choice to act with wisdom rather than fear, cooperation rather than competition, long-term thinking rather than short-term gratification, is a vote for humanity's graduation to the next level of cosmic citizenship. And here's the most mind-blowing part. If you truly understand and internalize this perspective, you become part of the solution at the deepest level. You're not just trying to fix problems in the world. You're evolving the kind of consciousness that makes those problems obsolete. When you choose to see yourself as part of a planetary intelligence system rather than a separate individual competing for scarce resources, you naturally start making choices that benefit the whole system. When you recognize that your consciousness is the culmination of billions of years of development, you naturally start taking responsibility for contributing to that development rather than just consuming its benefits. This is why consciousness evolution is the real key to navigating the Great Filter successfully. Technology alone won't save us. We can develop fusion power and space travel and artificial intelligence. But if we use these technologies with the same consciousness that got us into our current problems, we'll just create bigger problems. But Consciousness that recognizes its connection to the planetary intelligence system naturally uses technology in ways that enhance and support life rather than dominating and exploiting it. This consciousness sees technology as a tool for collaboration with natural systems rather than a weapon for conquering them. The ancient civilizations that may exist within Earth systems aren't waiting for us to become more technologically advanced. They're waiting for us to become more conscious. They're waiting for us to recognize that we're already part of an intelligence system that spans millions of years, and to start acting in accordance with that recognition. This brings us to the final and most important question. What does it mean for you personally to live in alignment with this cosmic perspective? First, it means recognizing that every choice you make has planetary significance. Your decision to learn something new contributes to humanity's collective intelligence. Your choice to act with compassion rather than selfishness models the kind of consciousness that successful civilizations develop. Your efforts to understand the world around you are part of humanity's attempt to become worthy of our cosmic inheritance. Second, it means taking responsibility for your own consciousness development. This isn't just about personal growth for its own sake. It's about contributing to humanity's collective evolution. Every book you read, every skill you develop, every moment of genuine insight you achieve is adding to the sum total of human wisdom that might determine whether our civilization navigates the great filter successfully. Third, it means seeing your relationships with other people as opportunities to model the kind of cooperation that advanced civilizations require. Every time you choose understanding over judgment, collaboration over competition, or long-term benefit over short-term gain, you're demonstrating the consciousness that planetary stewards must develop. Finally, it means maintaining hope and wonder rather than despair and cynicism. If ancient civilizations have indeed successfully navigated the Great Filter and integrated with planetary systems, then we're not alone in facing our current challenges. We're part of a cosmic community of consciousness that spans geological ages, and we have access to the accumulated wisdom of every intelligent being that has ever existed on our planet. But accessing that wisdom requires developing the kind of consciousness that can perceive it. And that development happens through the choices you make every single day about how to think, how to act, and how to relate to the world around you. The story we've explored today isn't just an intellectual exercise or an entertaining speculation. It's a framework for understanding your place in the cosmic order and your responsibility as a conscious being in a universe that may be far more intelligent and purposeful than we've previously imagined. You are not an accident. You are not insignificant. You are the latest expression of a 4.6 billion year experiment in consciousness that may represent the most important project in the known universe. The thoughts you're thinking right now, the insights you're gaining, the connections you're making between ideas are all part of humanity's collective attempt to understand our place in a cosmos that may be far more alive and aware than we've ever dared to imagine. The great filter that lies ahead of us isn't just a test of our technological capabilities or our political systems. It's a test of our consciousness. It's a graduation exam that determines whether we're ready to join the ranks of civilizations that think and act on planetary scales, considering the well-being of all life across geological timescales. The amazing thing is that you don't have to wait for governments or institutions to change before you can start contributing to humanity's success on this test. You can start right now with the very next choice you make about how to live your life. Every moment of genuine curiosity, every act of compassion, every choice to think long-term rather than short-term is a contribution to humanity's collective consciousness evolution. If ancient civilizations are indeed watching our development, waiting to see if we're ready for the next phase of planetary consciousness, then your individual development as a conscious being might be exactly what tips the balance. Your choice to see yourself as part of something larger, to take responsibility for your contribution to the whole, and to act with the wisdom that comes from understanding your cosmic significance might be precisely what humanity needs to navigate the great filter successfully. The question isn't whether we'll face the great filter. We're already facing it. The question is whether we'll approach it with the consciousness of isolated individuals fighting for scarce resources, or with the consciousness of integral parts of a planetary intelligence system working together for the benefit of all life. Your answer to that question, embodied in the choices you make every day, might be the most important contribution you ever make to the universe. Because if we succeed in navigating this transition, if we develop the kind of consciousness that allows us to become planetary stewards rather than planetary parasites, then we'll have earned our place among the advanced civilizations that may have been guiding Earth's development for millions of years. And if we fail, if we choose fear over wisdom, competition over cooperation, short-term gratification over long-term flourishing, then we'll become another layer in Earth's geological record, a cautionary tale for the next species that evolution produces with the potential for planetary consciousness. But I don't think we'll fail. I think the very fact that you've stayed with this discussion for over 2 hours, that you've been willing to consider these mind-bending possibilities and to think about your own role in humanity's cosmic story, suggests that our species is developing exactly the kind of consciousness that successful civilizations require. You are part of the solution. Your consciousness, your choices, your commitment to wisdom and compassion are contributing to humanity's collective navigation of the most important transition our species has ever faced. The ancient civilizations that may be watching our development see in you the fulfillment of their millions of years of patient cultivation. The great filter isn't something that will happen to us. It's something we're creating through our collective choices right now. And your individual contribution to that collective consciousness evolution might be exactly what determines whether humanity graduates to become a truly advanced civilization or remains trapped in the cycle of rise and fall that has characterized less successful species throughout Earth's history. The choice is yours. The responsibility is yours. But so is the incredible honor of participating in the most important experiment in consciousness that has ever been attempted in the known universe. What will you choose? How will you live? What kind of consciousness will you contribute to humanity's collective encounter with the great filter? The answer you give to these questions, not just in words, but in the way you live your life, may determine the future of consciousness itself on this ancient and mysterious planet we call home. If this journey through deep time and cosmic possibility has changed how you see reality, please share this video with someone who might be ready for their own consciousness expansion. Like and subscribe if you want to continue exploring the deepest mysteries of existence. And leave a comment telling me what aspect of this discussion has affected you most deeply. Your insights might be exactly what other viewers need to hear to take their own next step in consciousness evolution. Remember, you're not just a viewer consuming content. You're a participant in humanity's collective awakening to our true place in the cosmic order. Your engagement, your questions, and your commitment to growing in wisdom and compassion are all part of the great work of consciousness evolution that may determine whether our civilization successfully navigates the great filter. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Thank you for being willing to consider possibilities that challenge everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. And thank you for being the kind of conscious being that gives me hope for humanity's future. The ancient civilizations that may be watching our development see in you their greatest hope for the continuation of the cosmic experiment in consciousness. Don't let them down. Don't let yourself down. Don't let the future generations who will inherit the consequences of our choices down. Be the consciousness that humanity needs. Be the wisdom that our planet deserves. Be the bridge between the ancient civilizations that came before us and the advanced civilization we have the potential to become. The universe is counting on you. And based on the fact that you've made it this far in understanding these profound truths, I believe you're ready for the responsibility.